Hello, it's me, and I'm bringing out these Master Tetrahedrons, and as you can see, there's two versions of them. One by Traiphum, which is a shape modification of the Master Skewb, and one by Cublem, which is also a shape modification. However, it's built more from the bottom up. This is literally taken from this puzzle and turned into this, and this is not. Well, in terms of perspective with this puzzle, this is the master version of this, which is the Jing's Pyraminx. The Jing's Pyraminx itself is simply a shape modification of this, which is the Skewb. So it's all based upon Skewb technology and Skewb type strategy. So this then is the simpler version of this. So if I put this in kind of a family tree here, this is to this as this is to this. So there you have it. So it sounds like from a solve standpoint, shift these guys in the background here. It sounds like from a solve standpoint, why don't I just solve it exactly like this? And to solve it exactly like this means that I started off with a Skewb phase, solved it as a Skewb, and then I did my other various algorithms to apply to this. Well, here's the thing. When you have a different puzzle that's a shape modification, the change of shape does lend a nice little challenge in terms of perspective, but it can also roll in some issues with parities and things like that that really make it difficult. So my suggestion is this: when the shape changes, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to solve this as just a master version of this. I'm really going to solve it as a Jing's Pyraminx. Now, when I solve a Jing's Pyraminx, I don't do it as a Skewb. I actually solve it much more like a Master Pyraminx, where you're dealing with centers. And I solve this more like a Pyraminx than a Skewb. The Skewb solve is a fairly straightforward, simple Skewb, and you could solve it that way with this guy. But just to show you a little bit what I mean, when we're doing a Skewb solve, scramble it up, and we'll scramble this guy up as well. When doing a Skewb solve, it's fairly straightforward. Start off with getting a side. So here's a green over here. We'll put the other green here. Find the other green corners that match up. Green and silver. This just has to turn around until it. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly just because I've gone through a plethora of Skewb solves. So you've got this over here. Then it's a matter of moving these guys into position. I'll move this down here, down, down, up. Up, this is in position, move the one that's opposite, which is pink, happens to be up here, down, down, up, up. So now I just have to slide these guys in. This will come down to here. Now this is not a super Skewb, so we don't have to worry about orientation issues as much. Down, up, up. That means all the centers in, we just have to get these guys in. To get these guys, I've got to make it to where the same clockwise or counterclockwise rotation will roll these into place. You can see it's not there. If I do down, down, up, up 2 times, it'll roll them in specific positions. I'm not going to get into the details of that. Up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, up. Up, as I'm doing this, is rolling these in specific position. Clockwise turn, we'll move this in. Counterclockwise, counterclockwise, we'll move this in. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4. So it's pretty restrictive moves that I'm using, and it solves it. So that's all fine and well. And the thinking is, well, why don't I solve this the same way? Well, when you're skewbing your perspective, you have to look at it and say that this is a corner, like this, and these are corners too. So that means this is a center, and I just have to start putting them in. I used a center here, and I put the corners in first. So say this is a center, put these corners in, and then this will be a side here. Then I turn it upside down. This will come down here, and it's like a super Skewb. Well, I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to solve this the way that I solved the Pyraminx. And again, my purpose of this was not to go through a detail of a Skewb solve. So to solve this like a Pyraminx, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to line up all these tips, the tip colors here. So I move the greens to the green. This is the wrong side, so I'm just going to move all the greens together. Green, green, and green. I'll just move the red in over here. So all these tips are in. To move these guys in, I just position them. So I'm going to put all the green edges in first. This is the wrong one. This one belongs where the blue is, which is over here. If you need to know how to solve a Pyraminx, I can point you to that tutorial, but basically I move this down, bring this in position, move it up, The next one, this green goes to where the yellow is supposed to be, which is here. So position it down, turn and up. And now finally this guy, down, turn, and up. Okay, to move these in, I see that I have one in and two that are out. Find the one that's in, move that to the right side, and go down, down, up, up.
What?
Down, up, up. Okay, so you see that this one is in over here. The way that we do that is you take the one that's in.
I'm so fancy. You already know.
Alright, so when I get this situation, I find the side that has the one in and the two that are out. I put the one that's in, put it on the right side, and go down, down, up, up. That puts this one in over here. This was in the right place. Move that one to the right, take the one that's not in, and go down, down, up, up. And 100% of the time that'll work. To deal with the centers, these two have to swap. Something went wrong with that. So that's going to be R, U, R, I, U, I, R, U, R, I, U, I, R, U, R, I, U, I. So simple, quick solve of that. So basically, my whole reason to demonstrate that quick is I solved this as a Skewb with the techniques of a Skewb. I solved a shape modification, which is exactly like this, but just with a shape mod, but I didn't solve it as I did a Skewb. I solved it as I would a Pyraminx with just dealing with the centers. So with that said, when I solve these guys, I'm not going to solve it exactly like this. I'm actually going to solve it more like a Skewb and dealing with these other sides. What I'm going to do is I'm going to first scramble this guy, abracadabra. All right, now I'm going to scramble these guys too. So this is from Traiphum. I love the motion of this puzzle. What I like about this is it's very portable. It's a small puzzle. However, because it's a mod of a different puzzle, sometimes the pieces can be a little fragile. Sometimes there can be some popping. Turn, turn, so I think we've got a pretty good scramble. It's a non-shape-shifting puzzle, which is kind of nice because, you know, you have your standard scrambled look to it. We'll compare that with this. Now, this is a bigger puzzle. It is more bulky. It's a heavier puzzle. However, I will say that it is more stable. It has never popped on me, and I've solved it a score of times. So it's got that going for it. Like I say, it's not quite as portable, but it is brilliantly done. In terms of which one I would recommend, you know what? They both have good points. They both have, they're both good. If you can get your hands on any one of these, go ahead and do it. Turn, 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 turn. Turn, and, okay. So I'm teasing this out as much as I can. Okay. So there we have it. Looking at perspective then, looking at what moves correlate with what moves. So in this move over here, that correlates with this and with this. So these are all corners, like these are corners, and these are edges, or corners rather, corner, 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 corner. I like this because it resembles more the Jing's Pyraminx, so it looks better kind of in a, when set next to it. The other thing to bear in mind is what about all of these guys? Well, what I'm going to do first is I'm not going to solve it as I would a Skewb, a Master Skewb. I'm going to solve it as a tetrahedron, as a Pyraminx, basically. Now here's the question, while I'm doing that, can I solve this the same way? And the answer is yeah, you can. Would you recommend it? No, because it's easier to solve this as a Skewb because you can tell where your centers are and where your corners are. Here, because you have different corners, this is a corner, this is a corner, it does make it a little more difficult. So to put these tips in, to put the tip in over here, what you do is you just solve them, you basically just solve it as a Skewb. So here's the orange over here, and this is should be a very quick solve. Well, let's do the green. Here's a green and white, splat. Another green comes into here, clink. Where's another green? Where's another green? Here's another green. turn, turn. This is kind of like the RIDI-RD technique. Okay, so you see all of these guys up here. Turn it upside down and get the centers in. This is already in, this is not. So I'm looking for the red. Let's bring the red up, down, down, up, up. Here's the red, down, down, up, up. Put the orange back in. Yes, I know I'm going fast because I assume knowledge of how to do this. Up. This comes down here, up, up. The white comes down here, down, down, up, up. These guys have to be turned, but they're already turned. So the Skewb part is done. So what I have here is I've got the center portion done, and I've got the corners in. So that would appear to be the first thing that I would want to do, is get the corners in over here to line up with the center, which is here. So this is the center, and these are the corners. But I'm going to put these in as I would a Pyraminx, as I would a Jing's Pyraminx, actually. I'm not going to do it that way. I'm not going to say that this is a center, and I'm going to try to line these up around it. You could do it that way, but it's going to be more difficult. So instead, here's the green. I'm going to line up the tips as I would a Pyraminx. Line this up. That doesn't quite fit there. So find the area where all the greens can line up. So green, green, green. And now orange, white, white, white. So now these are all lined up. I'm going to ignore these guys now, because what I'm going to do is, instead of solving these at the same time that I would solve these with these central pieces here, now here I can call these centers, even though they're corners, doesn't really matter. I'm going to put these in here, because if I look at it as a Pyraminx, this is a center, and I'll define it as a center. I'm not going to look at it as a Skewb right now. I'm going to look at it as a Master Tetrahedron. So basically, I'm not going to worry about the centers. I'm putting these corners in, and now I'm going to put the edges in. These edges correspond not to these edges. These edges correspond to these centers. So to put these in, I'm going to do it the same way that I did with the Jing's Pyraminx, which is the same way that I did with the Pyraminx. I'm going to solve for the green side first. So green and red. Here's a green and white. Green and white belongs up over here. So I'm just going to move this down, turn, and up. So that's in. And let's see what else we got. We got green and red, which is here, down, turn, and up. Now you'll find you're going to avoid a lot of different parities and confusions this way. So it's a little bit of a break for the mind. This is in, but it's upside down. So let's just move it out. So you can see it just on the cusp of popping sometimes. So I got to be careful. Now I want to move it into here. So turn, turn, and turn. So these are all in. I'm ignoring these other pieces. We're going to correlate those with other things in a bit. Actually, the trivial tip is not lined up, so I'm just going to turn this in. So I forgot that step over here. So what I have then is, this is in the right place. This edge is in the right place, but it's flipped wrong. This is in the right place, but it's flipped wrong. Okay, so it's still the same thing. This is in the right place, and it's flipped correct. So these are all flipped wrong. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to take the one, so this is completely correct, these two aren't. So take the one that's, find one where you have two that are not correct and one that is correct. It's going to be this one. This one's correct, and you want to line it up to where one of your sides has one that's correct and two that are not. So it's not going to be here because they're all correct. It's not going to be here because you have two that are correct. It's not going to be here because you have two that are correct. So this is one, now one correctly placed and two that are wrong. They're in the right place, but they're flipped wrong. So this is correctly placed. What you're going to do, and this is how I solve the Pyraminx, how I do it quickly, move this to the right side, the one that's correctly placed, and go down, down, up, up. When you do that, there's going to be one that's the right color. These two are not the right color, but this is the right color. Move that one to the right, and then grab it on the side that is incorrectly placed and go down, down, up, up. And 100% of the time that will work. So basically all of these edges are in, and all of these corners are in as well. These centers happen to be placed correctly also. If they weren't, then I just do the algorithm to flip-flop these two and these two. Let's see how that works with this guy over here. So first we'll start putting the trivial tips in. All the greens have to line up. I don't even have to concentrate too much on what colors go where. I just have to make sure that they're on the same level. So these green tips are all fine. This just has to be moved into the proper place over here. Putting these in, I'm going to put the green side in first. Here's a green and blue. And green and blue is going to come over to here. So, bat this out of the way. Take this, move it down. I just have to remember orientation and move it up. Same thing. So this goes as fast as your Pyraminx solves will go. This moves up into here. Bring it down. Turn and up. And now this guy, we just have to move this down and orient it correctly. This can actually corner cut. Since I'm not a speed cuber, I don't like to corner cut. No use for me at all. So good, good, good. And now we come over to here and see where we're at. Let's turn these tips in. Good, good, and good. So let's see where we're at. What's in and what's not in. Well, we can see that none of them are really in. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to rotate. I'm going to want to orbit this. What needs to rotate where? Well, this needs to come over to here. If I want to rotate this counterclockwise, I'm going to basically do an algorithm that rotates it in a... I want to rotate this clockwise. I'm going to do an algorithm that sort of does a counterclockwise rotation with that. And that's going to be RI, UI, R, UI, RI, UI, R, and then stop there. When I do that, you can see that this is placed right, this is placed right, and this is placed right. So that's something else that can happen. This is all part of the Pyraminx solve. In this case, you see that these centers are not correctly placed. Now, if this should ever become mass-produced, I will do another slowed-down tutorial with this where I have the Pyraminx correlated, but this is more of a demonstration. So I want to flip these two, and I want to flip these two. To do that, we do the algorithm RU, RI, UI, that's one, RU, RI, UI, that's two, and finally RU, RI, UI, that's three. And so that's in. So that's a way of not having to worry about anything like parity. But in any case, what I've done is I put all of these in. The end result is I have it at this stage. But here's my whole point. To solve this problem, I didn't look at it as a Skewb, and I didn't solve it as a Skewb. I looked at it as a tetrahedron, I looked at it as a Pyraminx, and I solved it as a Pyraminx. That's pretty much how I did it, is I solved it like this.